November is not for goals. At least not for me. Here's the thing about the last 2 months of the year. The holidays always keep me quite busy in November and December. Work is usually actually kind of more hectic, at least for me. It just feels like there's a lot of like year-end wrap-up stuff that's happening, and also a lot of people are on vacay. And so in general, I just typically know that these last 2 months of the year are not going to be big months for building habits or making progress towards a bunch of goals. For me, my focus on these 2 months is always just savoring time with my friends and family, curating gifts for people, reflecting, journaling, being cozy, and that is really it. So if you are in the same boat, I invite you to also just release some of that pressure to be doing a bunch of personal growth and development around this time of year if that's just not realistic for you. Give yourself permission to just let these last months of the year be whatever they need to be, whether that's finishing up the year's work, spending time with family, or just getting a whole bunch of R&R in the coziest time of the year. So with that in mind, I am going to keep this planning session sweet and simple. I'll walk you through my October reflections, my intentions for November, kind of like goal setting, but really more like intentions. And then of course, my Notion reset. Let's get into it. Oof, guys, it is November and I am sweating. It is so hot where I am. It's not usually supposed to be like this. If you notice me start to glisten, that is why. Also, guys, a moment for the earrings. Wow. I got them from a maker on Etsy and I am just totally in love with them. For Halloween, one of my costumes, I was like an elf one of the days and a fairy another one of the days. I kind of was wearing like the same costume in different fonts over the course of like 3 days. But I got these as one of my like elf jewelry accessories and I'm just so into them and now I just want to wear them all the time. It's such a vibe. It makes me so happy. Okay, so I'm gonna just take you right into my October monthly dashboard in Notion to check in on the goals that I was working on for last month and how I did with them. All right, guys, so welcome to my October monthly dashboard. If you are new here, I make a new monthly dashboard every single month in Notion. This is what I look at every single day to know what I'm working on for that day. If you watched my September plan with me, this is actually the same as that dashboard. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit for October, but I did really like the vibe of this dashboard. It felt very, in the spirit of fall, so I wanted to keep it for October. And I'm actually thinking about possibly keeping something kind of similar for November, but I am going to make some pretty significant changes to what is in my dashboard, but we'll get to that a little bit later. First, let's just talk about what I was working on this month. So up here at the top, I've got my dream menu. This is basically all of the big picture dreams, intentions, goals, if you want to call them that I have been working on or am working on for the end of the year. Inside of each of these cards, there are more specific items that relate to that intention. And I'm going to go through each of these in a second here, but just to give you a sense of the rest of the dashboard down here, this is my weekly or even daily view. So here we've got my day-to-day to-do list of all the things that I got to work on each of these days, a little month at a glance view over here. And then down here, these are kind of my my current muses. So this is related to this database up here. So basically what I do is at the beginning of every week, I will look inside of each of these cards and I will look at the things that I want to work on for that week. What am I inspired to work on, or what do I know that I'm just actively currently working on right now? What have I completed? And then if I mark anything as something that I am inspired to do or something that's active, then it will appear down here. So what did I just put it in cleanup. Actually, I completed this one. I should mark it as done, but we'll do it in a second. But I did do that. I'll just do it now. Completed, and I check it off, and you can see it updated my progress bar. So when I uncheck it, it's at 0. When I check it, it's at 20%. Oh, so satisfying. Anyways, so when I mark something as inspired or active, it'll appear down here. Over here, this is my habit tracker. I'll even do this right now because I haven't. This is week 5 of October. So these are the habits that I wanted to work on for this month. So movement, I was hoping to do this every day this month. Didn't quite do that. I actually have a vlog coming out soon about what my October was like. It ended up being quite a shit show, to put it bluntly. It was a pretty hard time, and goals, habits kind of fell by the wayside, and that is totally okay. We all go through those phases where it feels like there's just a fire going off in like literally every category of your life. That's kind of where I was in October. So yeah, I'm very at peace with, if I got anything done in October, God, I'm I'm proud of myself. So anyways, that is accurate for movement. This is just a little chore check-in. So this represents each week, week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 2 weeks, I did not do much around the house, but I did do a lot this week already. So I'm gonna mark that. Taking photos, I try to remember to take photos every single week. This is part of my larger 2024 goal of doing a better job of documenting my life and just having more records of all the things that I do. I did take photos this week, and then tracking. This is my reminder to myself to go into my experience tracker and track the things that I was doing each day. As you can see, this was a habit that I did not do. This is something that I am actually going to do this weekend. I'm planning to actually just go back, review, just like my Google Calendar, review kind of my phone and look through all of the things that I was doing each day in October. And I do want to try to at least get like a rough sketch, a rough kind of map of all the things that happened throughout this month. I just think it's good to have these things documented. It helps me in the future if I'm going through similar situations. How did I deal with it in the past? What were kind of some of my thought patterns? What were some of my conclusions that I was making about things that were happening in my life? I just find it helpful to write that stuff down because I don't know about you all, but I forget, honestly, if I don't write things down about how I felt about a situation, I might not remember. I don't remember the specific feelings I had for every single thing that happened to me a year ago, but I do have journal records of that, and that helps me kind of get back into that headspace. So I really try to do this every day. As you can see, I did not do it in October, but I do hope to at least try to go back and fill in some of the blanks just so I can have a little tiny mini entry for every single day of the month. And then the last thing that's in this monthly dashboard at the bottom, I have this little resourcing section, an affirmation that was meaningful to me, my recharge zone. These are just little things that I can do to help kind of bring my spirits up or bring my energy up. I have a link to my joy menu, which is just a larger resourcing area in my journal, so this is something I'm gonna work on for my November dashboard. I feel like I need to have my journal, my experience tracker, maybe more front and center. Maybe I can even have it housed in my dashboard. I haven't quite decided yet. We'll see when we get to that part, but I kind of feel like I need it to be just a little bit more right there on my monthly dashboard, so that way I actually fill it out, because I always have this dashboard open every single day. Anyways, that's what I'm thinking. Let's talk about my October goals, or the things that I was working on this month. So what we're looking at here are really my whole end of year kind of dreams or intentions. They're not really October specific goals, but this is what I've been kind of focused on for this month. I'll just take you through each of them. So the first one here is making space to be slow. Like I said, it's generally a very hectic time of year for me. It just tends to be a time of year where I'm just kind of moving from thing to thing. It's just so kind of back to back, I need to run from one thing to the next. And I really believe that that is really just not a nourishing lifestyle to our souls, to our spirits. And so I really am trying to practice getting out of that state of mind, getting out of that kind of running from thing to thing type of mindset and breaking those habits. And I think I've been actually doing a really good job of it. It doesn't actually look like it says I did 0%. That's actually not true. One of the biggest things that I did, and I should really write this down to be honest, is I canceled commitments. That was a huge thing that I did at this kind of year-end time, is a really, really huge one. And I want to give myself credit for that, because that's one of the hugest things to making space to be slow, is just reducing your commitments, reducing the number of things that you're doing. When I say commitments, I don't just mean saying no to going to a party on the weekend. What I mean is actually canceling some kind of obligation that is a regular obligation that requires you to show up consistently. Getting rid of one of those, that is how you truly make space for slowness, make space to be able to do things slowly, which is what I mean when I talk about slow living. I really mean just being able to do everything that I do in my life slowly without rushing. And so I canceled a big commitment of mine this quarter, and it felt really good to get all of that time back. I actually also did a bunch of these things. So I had a content day with a friend. I'm gonna mark that, as completed. I did nurture a new friendship locally, which makes me really, really happy. And I did go thrift shopping. Wow, okay, so I did actually do quite a number of these things. I marked journaling as inspired because, like I said, that is something that's very top of mind right now. But honestly, reading a book, I'm actually kind of inspired with all of these items, but I can't mark everything as inspired because I don't want to like overload myself. But I'm going to keep these here. So at the start of each week, I'm going to be reviewing this. So maybe the start of next week or something, I'll pull one of these up to the surface. But that's the slowness goal. This is just all about giving myself the space to be able to not always be rushing, because that's just not a state that I want to put my body in, that kind of constant state of stress. I'm not about it. I want to really figure out how can I get myself out of that like hamster wheel. Okay, so the next one is tending to my home. So I have our house, this part of my house looks great. It's my office, it's where I film, so I always make sure it looks pretty good. But other parts of my home are maybe less than what I would want them to be. I want my home to feel lived in. I don't like feel the need to like clean every day and keep everything immaculate, but I do want it to be somewhere that I love spending time in, and that is really a reflection of me and my tastes, my aesthetic, my inner world. And so I do like to give a lot of love to my home because this is where I spend a lot of time. A lot of my time is spent here, and so I want it to feel good. So a lot of this actually has to do with getting rid of like trash essentially, or like kind of clutter in my house. So like I have a bunch of items I gotta sell on Facebook Marketplace. I have a big thing of recycling that I need to drop off, compost similarly. I have a bunch of old clothes. I want to do a little closet clean out and donate some of my old clothes. So these are all things that I want to do that are going to help my home just feel a little bit more airy and spacious. There's actually a few others that I want to add here. Oh, actually I wrote down that I did clean out my makeup cabinet, but actually what I did was I organized my makeup, and this is actually the one that I want to check off as completed, because I did do like a big kind of organize. My makeup is kind of everywhere, and I'm a big makeup girly, so I have a lot of makeup, and I wanted to kind of organize that. So that was something that I did do this month. Another thing that I did this month was I cleaned my bedroom, which really needed a little TLC, but I really got rid of a lot of clutter there, and I'm really happy with that. Speaking of adding things in, actually for the making space to be slow, as you can see, I've been doing it, but I think a couple other things that I want to add in here are I kind of want to have like a couple of dedicated like floofy days, just days where there's not actually anything on my agenda, not anything on my to-do list, where I can kind of just feel into what I want to do. I do try to generally have that be the ethos for all of my days. I try to make sure that every day I have the flexibility to kind of do what I feel like doing, whether it's working on a personal goal, working on work stuff, content stuff, whatever it is. I've just kind of picked out work streams for myself that allow for this, but I do think that I want to have some dedicated like floofy days. I'm gonna just call it a floofy day. Maybe like 3 floofy days. Is that goofy? I just want to like have some days where I have nothing on my agenda, and if I want to relax and do nothing, I can relax and do nothing. If I just feel like working on like really going into one, like having a coffee shop day, or doing something like a big day where I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna work on dropping off all this crap that needs to get out of my house. Like I just want to have a few floofy days where I can really just feel into whatever I feel like working on. So that's what I mean by floofy days. It's a little vague. Tend to the loose ends is my next dream intention. So I have a bunch of, this is kind of like little life admin stuff that I mean, if you've been watching my plan with me, you're probably seeing some things here that I've been living on this list since like January. Some of these items have been really sitting here. That's okay. These are just things that I want to make sure that I get to by the end of the year. I can't click into these two, but Slow Cozy Infrastructure is all the stuff that has to do with this channel, this project, this content project of mine. And so it's all different little things of like back-end stuff, like setting up AdSense and, setting up an email list, all that kind of stuff. But those are all the types of things that are in there, so I can't click on that. Same with my income streams. These are things that I do for income. Can't click on those. Actually, for November, I kind of feel like these are 2 goals that I'm not going to be very focused on. I think I really want to focus on these ones a lot more, and so I might even try to get a different view of this database that just includes these top 4 kind of primary focus areas for myself. So I will show you in a little bit how I set that up. Lastly, my last goal is identity work. By this, I just mean the work that I'm doing to integrate different parts of my identity and kind of step into this new line of work as a content creator that I have. It is something that I have clearly not done. These are some of the items. They're a little bit squishier. I'm trying to just kind of solidify my personal narrative, make sure I feel really good about the words that I use to describe myself. I think it's really good to be intentional with our language and the ways that we describe ourselves. I also have a course that I took that was related to this subject that I want to kind of complete all the coursework related to that, and I want to update my website. That's kind of the final project or presentation of this whole endeavor. So these are things that I'm working on related to kind of my identity, just how I see myself and how I talk about myself. This is something I've been working on all year. I've not made great progress here, but this is something that I really, really want to focus on for these last 2 months. So as you can kind of see, income streams generally tends to be the area that I focus on the most. I think that's just natural. We all do this. We kind of focus on the areas of our life that make us money. But as you can see, even just taking a glance at the progress bars here, it's pretty unbalanced. I've spent quite a lot of time working on bringing money in the door and not a lot of time on these other goals that are also equally important to me. And that's kind of why for my November dashboard, I would really like to find a way to make sure these other areas are really my focus. These are things that are really important to me that I do want to do. And so I want to make sure I'm like really honoring them and giving them that time and focus. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure you give the video a like. That really helps me out a lot. Also around here, I like to make content about the journey toward moving toward a softer and sweeter life. So if that's a journey you're also on or interested in, subscribe, because maybe we can do it together. So that's it for my October reflections. And honestly, we kind of got into my November intentions just through that process. And that's honestly a pretty common thing. When we reflect on the month or kind of like the preceding kind of period of time, we tend to pull out like, okay, like these are the things I did and didn't do. And that kind of helps pull out the things that you want to do for the coming month. So that's why I find the reflection process so helpful. So I feel like I kind of have my November intentions basically mapped out. I'll maybe put them here on the screen. I'll like make like a concrete list, things that I am calling in for November, or the things that I am kind of committing myself to for November. Let's get into the Notion reset and design my November monthly dashboard in Notion. So I think what I'm gonna do this time around is I'm actually gonna just duplicate my October dashboard, and then I'll work from there to create the November dashboard. So here we are. Here's the new, I'm gonna just name it November. Visually, I really like the color palette. I like the aesthetic of this dashboard. So aesthetically, I don't know that I necessarily need to switch out all of these images. However, I usually get all my images from Pinterest. And I do think I wanna do just like a quick glance through, see if anything else kind of calls out to me. So let's do that. I'm just gonna kind of open up, just click on anything that is resonating with me right at this moment, and then I'll decide later what I actually want to use on my November dashboard. So all of this witchy stuff is just, that is exactly where my brain is, this like witchy fairy stuff. So obviously I'm loving all of this fall vibes, imagery. Gosh, I said I wasn't going to change out my imagery, but there's a lot of cute stuff, so TBD. I'm sort of kind of wondering if I want to grab some of this like kind of collage-y style stuff, because it kind of reminds me of like a journal. Like I said, I really want to be journaling a lot. One thing that's also kind of top of mind for me is I really want a few images that kind of call up the feeling of confidence, or feeling kind of really grounded in myself related to my identity work and some other things that I know I'll be doing this month. But I think it would be nice to have some art that feels kind of like that. The reason I'm so particular about finding the right types of images is honestly, I feel like because I'm looking at the images every single day on my monthly dashboard, they're kind of almost like a vision board, or they like help me manifest like a certain energy, a certain mood, a certain mindset. So I really like to make sure that the images that I'm bringing in really are aligned with like what I'm trying to kind of call forth for the month. Coming back here into our November dashboard, so one of the things that I was thinking about is, like I said, because habits and goals are not going to be super top of mind for me for the month of November, I kind of feel like having the first thing I see on my dashboard being this dream menu feels a little unnecessary to me. I was kind of actually thinking that I want to move this whole section up. Maybe I'm holding the shift key and then I'm highlighting the sections that I want to grab. I'm still holding the shift key as I drag all of this up to the top. And that is how you keep all the formatting. The reason I had chosen out this image originally was because I wanted to have something that represented that tending to my home kind of theme. And I still kind of think this image does resonate with me. There's also, I've been doing so much laundry actually in the last month, and I wonder if this image like just being like in my face every single day is just subliminally making me like remember to do the laundry like very, very frequently, which is not always the case for me in this household. So let's see. I kind of want to, like I said, have maybe a smaller version of this. So I think so this is a database, and I think what I'm going to do is maybe I'm going to create a different view of the same database. I'm going to do, this is a gallery. So I'll do it as a gallery. I'm going to link in that same goals database that I had here. For the layout, I want to do card preview. I want it to be the cover. Card size, I want them to be large. And as you can see here, this actually populated also like goals that I haven't been working on for the end of year, or goals that I've kind of replaced, like indulgent summer joy, no longer relevant for end of year. I'm just gonna pick out the goals that I want to have maybe just for November, like on my board for November. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click into those ones. So this is one of them. And here under time frame, I'm going to put in November 2024, orange. Yeah, I'll put in November 2024 for the ones that I want to actually show for November. So tend to my home. By the way, if this database is confusing you, it is in my July Plan With Me video from this year. That's where I explain the kind of back end of how this database works. So if you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link to that video up above somewhere. If you go back to my full life hub and then goals, this is where the original databases live. But then when I'm making any given dashboard, so for example, this November dashboard, I can then kind of filter it to only show the stuff that's relevant for November or relevant for whatever that page is about. So in this case, I'm gonna filter this now by time frame and just by November. And you can see now it's only showing me the goals that I've marked for November. And I'll even give this a little name. I'll name this view as November. I'll give it a little icon. Can I give it a pumpkin? No, maybe a leaf? Yeah. Now I've got this kind of goals database that's just a little bit more honed to the goals that I'm working on in November. Let's see. What if I kind of combine? So this is like a little place where if I'm needing to plan out specific goals for each week. So if I had, let's say I had a big goal of like, let's say I had some kind of report I need to finish by the end of the month. Maybe it's due in week 4. So I might write in like submit report, but then I can kind of break down the tasks into like research report, write first draft of report, finalize report, and then submit. So that way I can kind of break down a larger goal into kind of like steps, and then I kind of assign them to a week, of what week I'm working on that step. I haven't actually been needing this section in the last few months. The kinds of goals, intentions, dreams that I'm working on, it just doesn't need to be broken down this way, but I definitely recommend this for anyone who is working on goals like that like it is helpful to like break it down into steps. I might keep it for now just in case. Again, hold shift to pull them with you, and I'll put them right there, make it smaller. Or maybe I actually want this to be here in the middle, something like that. I'm gonna actually hide this database title. I want to show, let's see, layout, no, properties. I want to make sure my progress bar is also visible, so I just turn that on so that's visible. What if I just call this intentions? What if I just do that? Okay, I think I kind of like that. But one thing that, as I was saying, I really want to have up here is I kind of want to have my experience tracker, like a view of my experience tracker kind of right here in my dashboard. Let's add in a linked view of a database. And the database that I'm gonna wanna pull in is my experience tracker. I think it's just called daily tracking. Yes. The bones of this database actually came from a template by Wesley Anna, who is an incredible YouTuber who also makes a lot of content about Notion. I've kind of changed it a lot, but a lot of the bones are her template. I definitely recommend checking out her channel. I'm gonna wanna filter this by the date. And I think I'm gonna just I want the date to be the current week. As you can see, I haven't made any entries for this week, so that's why there's nothing that shows up. Say I'm gonna enter one in for today, October 31st. I'm just gonna name it October 31, 2024. This part got kind of confusing, so I'm gonna do a quick voiceover to try to simplify this explanation. Basically, I just hid all of the properties in this table so I could have a more focused view with just the name of the entry and the mood properties showing. I'm also going to add in a checkbox to this table so I can check off when I've filled out each of the daily entries, and I'll show you what goes inside a daily entry in a second here. Over here on the top left, I'm also going to give this view of my database a name. I want to indicate that this is a weekly view of my experience tracker. I'm also going to hide the database title just to make it look a little cleaner. Up here, I'm going to add in 2 columns and move the database into one of them to make the database smaller and not take the whole width of the page. And next, I'm just going to reorganize the properties in the table even more. I'm putting that checkbox all the way at the front of the table so it feels like a literal checklist. And I even hide that mood property to keep this view super clean. And then I'm just going to add in each of the daily entries for this week so you can see what that would look like. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to show you what's inside each daily entry. I'm also going to fill one out for today as an example, but you can see right here, this is what's inside a daily entry card. The main things are the mood. I can indicate literally an emotion from this drop-down list. I can also rank my mood from 1 to 5 and rate my day from 1 to 5. Let's fill one out just for today is the 31st. Happy Halloween. But I would go ahead and mark what my mood is. My mood today is actually pretty good. I feel kind of energized. Filming always kind of puts me in a good mood. Just I feel like a bit of a adrenaline rush, I guess is the right way to put it. So I feel pretty energized. I would give it out of 5 if 1 is like not great, and no, 2.75. Let's do 3.75. Maybe I'll even put it as 4. I mean, I feel pretty good right now. Maybe it's actually not so bad. And then I can do things like rate the day. And then the most important thing here is that I like to put in key highlights of the day, like what I did, maybe anything important that I want to remember. So for today, basically all I've done today is film November, plan with me. We'll see what I do at the end of the day, so I might have to add in more stuff here throughout the day, but it's really just that simple. And that way, once I fill it out, I can check it off, and so I can kind of at a glance see my kind of experience tracker right in front of me and have it just right there and really easy for me to fill out. Let me see where I want to put this. I'm kind of debating, like maybe I put it down here, maybe like that. Then I'll give it like its own little header, like weekly journal, something like that. That's kind of satisfying. Then maybe what I'll actually do is in properties shown, I'll actually make that highlights category where I write this all out. I'll make that visible. Okay, see? So now look how easy it is. I can actually just type it right in. That's the ticket to making this nice and easy. Okay, I kind of like that. So, okay, so for example, yesterday was for me, it was a big rest day. I had just gotten back from a lot of travel, so ate a lot of food, watched a lot of Friends. You get the idea. So it's very easy for me to just kind of see this when I'm kind of on my monthly dashboard, and then we'll be able to fill this out. So I have a whole big experience tracker page where I can see like all of the days of forever. But really this is the kind of key of my experience tracker, is just having like each date with the highlights and also being able to see my mood at a glance. I don't know if I necessarily want to put the mood category here. Only reason why I hesitate to show the mood, I don't want to bum myself out, if that makes sense. Like, I have a couple of days where I'm just like depressed. I don't want to just see the word depressed like on my daily dashboard. I want to give myself the opportunity to each day kind of wake up and have like a different mood. I think I'm just gonna hide this mood section. I can still fill it out. Like if I click into any given day, I can still go ahead and fill out the mood and fill out all this information, whatever information is important for me to fill out. But I think that for an at a glance view, I just want to be able to write down my highlights without reminding myself if I was in a bad mood the last like 3 days. Okay, I'm sorry this is all jumbly. I hope that makes sense what this is and how it's used. But yeah, that's gonna be my weekly journal section. I'm kind of excited to have that right here in my monthly dashboard. I'm curious to see how that's gonna work for me. Let's update my habits and what habits I'm going to be working on. I think I'm still gonna try to do a daily movement. Movement can be anything from like doing like a quick stretch, taking a walk, If I go out dancing, that counts as movement. It could be doing a like Pilates video, following a Pilates video or something like that. But you know, just any kind of movement ticks off this box. I think I am gonna still try to do that daily for this month. Chores, I think I'm gonna keep this as well. So basically, by the way, my habit tracker, so these represent every single day of the month. Let's check out, by the way, where are you, November? Here. So November has 1, 2, 3, 4 months in the year. 4 weeks in the month. So 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks for that, and then these each represent a week. And then tracking, I do still want to do this daily, and now I have 2 ways to remind myself. It's this and this. So 2 ways to remind myself to do my tracking and do my journaling. Taking photos, that's just, I like to take photos once a week, like at least once a week, just again in the spirit of documenting. So I think that these habits look pretty good for November. What if I move this habit section down here? Oop, I'm gonna do this as 2 columns. If you ever have issues with like getting stuff to be next to each other, which sometimes Notion can be a little finicky with that, just creating a set of columns kind of will help fix the issue. And then I'll move this here. Okay, yeah, cute. I feel like what this needs is like an image that'll help think. One of these kind of like writing themed images would be great, like this. I think this one. I'm gonna just copy that image from Pinterest, go back to that November dashboard, and I'm gonna just paste it in here. Ooh, smaller. Yeah, I think that's pretty cute. And then I'll stick it. Yes, okay, there we go. I'm kind of excited about this section. Yeah, okay, that's exciting, that's new. What if we turn this into just like a reflections space? Then I can even also move this up here, and maybe I make these smaller. So instead of size large, I make them size small. So they all just kind of fit down there. Okay, this is kind of an interesting setup, but basically I have a place here to track my daily experiences. I can then also look at my big picture November intentions and see how I'm doing with them, track my habits, cute little journaling themed imagery. Okay, this is kind of doing it for me. I kind of like this. I feel like, let's see, for November, what kind of icon? Probably like a leaf, right? Well, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not like jumping over this. I go back to what it was before, just like that little pumpkin. Are pumpkins still okay in November? Kind of want it to be something like still in this like kind of fairy theme, like this butterfly. I kind of want this exact butterfly. I love it. I feel like this star background needs to change too, but I feel like it's gonna be a struggle to find a cute background. Okay, we also forgot completely about changing out the imagery here. Guys, this is a lot going on. Why do I want this cowgirl lady? She looks really confident. This is what I was talking about with the confidence thing. This too. This is really cute, also very November. All right, guys, this is kind of where we're landing. I'm mixed about it. I really like it a lot. And then I'm also like, what is this? I mean, especially this banner with these like funny little, I did just go to the Eras tour. That might also give you a little sense of where I'm at. I was at the Eras tour, and I did Halloween and had a bit of a fairy core kind of thing going on for my Halloween fit this year. So I feel like a lot of these vibes are just coming from like those specific events. So, but that's just kind of where my head is at. And like I said, I'm working on confidence, and I like how these images really evoke confidence. Coming down here, I reorganized this just a tad, but I kind of like where we're landing. We've got the weekly planner here where I can plan day by day all the things that I'm working on. And then we've got a little month out of view calendar. I still have this laundry image to inspire me to continue tending to my home. I kept this little week by week kind of planner here. I've got my current muses section over here. Coming down here, we have this journal section, or I guess that's what it is. It's a journal, right? It's my little journal section. And I think it's really cute. I really like the way this came out. Maybe I'll put like a little space right there. There's a lot going on in the spread. I guess I'm gonna figure out whether or not I like this, but I think it's pretty cute. I like the kind of journaly vibes of this image. We've got my habit tracker on the left. Over here, I've got that experience tracker that I pulled out. And then down here, I have that, this is the dream menu, but it's kind of my intentions just for November specifically. At the start of every week or at the end of every week, what I'll do is I'll fill out the habits that I've completed. I'll fill out my weekly experience tracker, and I'll review my intentions for the month, mark out the things that I'm inspired to do for the coming week. Every week I want to kind of update these or review these. So I feel like this is a good little collection of things all in one place. And I think it looks pretty cute. It's pretty nice to look at. And then coming down here, okay, we don't need this anymore. Delete. We just have our little resourcing section, very simple. I feel like this is all exactly kind of in the spirit of what I'm trying to keep in mind, a little bit of like getting into like a good confident state of mind, also being a little witchy, a little bit cozy, a little bit homey, and then reflective. We've got this big section all about reflections that I think is exactly what I need to like kind of stay on top of that habit. I guess like my biggest intention for November is really represented by the fact that I have this big journaling section now in my monthly dashboard. So I'm happy. I kind of like this. All right, that's it. That's our November dashboard. Let me know what you all thought about this whole Notion reset and this particular monthly dashboard that we came up with. Let me know down below what you're working on in the month of November. What kind of stuff, what's the energy, what's the mood, what's the vibe, what are you going for November? What are the intentions, and what are we calling in for this last 2 months of the year? Let me know down below in a comment if you feel so inclined to share. If you're into this style of Plan With Me video, Notion reset style video, I will leave a link to a full playlist with all of the Plan With Me videos that I have done so far somewhere over here for you to go and check out next. I've done one for almost every month of the year, not every single month. I've skipped a few, but I've made a lot of these videos. So check those out, go watch those next, and I will see you over there. Bye.